Welcome back, glad you can join me. Well, today's video was going to be about photographing fog early morning. We had a very severe thunderstorm last night in southeast Queensland, and the weather forecast was for heavy fog this morning. Now I know this area is prone to heavy fog early in the morning. It's Black Duck Lagoon, only about 5 minutes drive from my place. I looked on the map and they're like, okay, I'm just going to come down here. Now I did a video on wildlife about a week ago from here. And it's very nice. It's a little man-made island in the middle here, and this is where I'm going to concentrate my photos. So I was really expecting a lot of fog, and it was going to be like a very sublime image, fog in the foreground, and just as the first rays of light hit the trees, it was going to be some great photography. But Mother Nature sometimes throws us curveballs. We have to make do with what we have. What was I going to do when I got here? Just say, okay, no problem, I'll just go back home. Waste that time of getting up early? No, this is what I'm all about, and this is what I try to teach in my videos, to show you that even if the conditions aren't what you expected, you have to try to make do. Come up with plan B. I'm shooting this morning with my Nikon D500, and originally I planned to use the Takina 11-20 to get a bit wider field of view. But once I set up, I looked at it like, nah, Takina is going to be too wide. I don't want a lot of empty space. I want to concentrate in the middle. So I quickly swapped my lenses over, and I'm using the Nikon 18-140 at around 35 mils. Way longer than I could get with the Takina. What I'm concentrating on is right in the center of the image here. The island, right at the tip of the island here, and they've got yellow piping to stop any of the sediments coming from higher up the creek, because they've done quite a bit of landscaping further up the creek, so they've got these sediment pipes running along the creek. But that's okay, it'll probably just add a little bit of interest. But I'm just zoomed right in, just so I could get the front of this, and now we've got the sunlight just hitting the tops of the trees. I've got to keep cracking because I don't want the sun to hit all the way onto the trees. I'm using filters, as you can see. I'm using a Nissi polarizer, I'm using a Nissi 3-stop medium grad, and a Hader 6-stop ND filter. Now the 3-stop medium grad is so I can balance the bright sky with the darker foreground. The polarizer, that's just going to help me blend the image a bit more and give me the reflections on the lake that I want. And the 6-stop, I'm using it because I just want a slower shutter speed, just to get a little bit of smoothness on the water. So that's why I've chosen these filters. How am I going to frame my image? Because it's fairly dark in the foreground here. I'm in manual mode, I'm at ISO 100. Now I've reduced the aperture to its minimum, f4.2. That's not what I'm going to shoot at. I'm just using this to frame my image, and I've reduced my shutter speed to 15 seconds. Why? Because I can see what I'm going to compose in live view here. If you click the OK button, it actually brings up what you see is what you get. So now I can actually just frame my image. I can actually zoom in a little bit more. Yes, that looks about perfect. And I've got my artificial horizon here so I can see exactly what I'm doing. I really like that. And I'm going to focus right on the center trees there. Beautiful. I've got my frame that I like. Now what I can do is go back to the settings that I want. Now I'm going to shoot at f11 to maximize the help with my ND filter. Now I'm going to bring my shutter speed to match where it shows the meter, tells me that I'm accurate. I'm going to lift up the grad. There, that's it. I'm happy with that. Now I'm just going to rotate the polarizer to suit what I want to do. 2-second timer. I don't need a remote timer and all that. The 2-second timer's heaps. 13 seconds. Take a photo. Wow, that looks quite nice. Let's look at our histogram. That's showing me that it's just about perfect. I actually scroll through and I go to the RGB highlights. This to me is more important than seeing my histogram, because seeing this, I can look at what's called the blinkies. If I get too much blinkies, it means that area of the image is overexposed. I don't want that. I know there's shadows here, and I can expect that because of the conditions. But I know in Lightroom, I can actually bring those shadows up as long as my image is fairly well exposed. I'm liking this, but there's just something that it's not captivating me. I thought 38mm was going to be close enough, but it's not. Now, I'm going to have to zoom in. I'll tilt it this way a little bit. Now, the 3-stop medium grad, I've got to be very careful how I'm tilting it, because it's still going to give me a line through the middle, but there's a lot of brightness just on the right-hand side here. So I've just tilted a little bit to help me balance out the photo. Let's take a photo. that actually looks really nice. Remember, I shoot JPG and RAW. The photos you're seeing here right now are JPEGs straight out of the camera. If you're shooting in JPEG, make sure that your camera is set up properly. Make sure that your picture profile is correct. Make sure that your white balance is set correctly, because if they're not, especially white balance, then it's going to be very hard if you want to touch it up to adjust your white. My picture profile is set to landscape. Now that looks so nice. I don't want to zoom anymore, because if I zoom any more than this, I'm going to lose the sky. Even though there's no clouds, it's adding a bit of feel to it. Now I'm just going to stop for a couple of minutes because I want to see what this image is going to look like when the sun hits the front of these trees. I'm just taking a photo now. Wow, this looks nice. There's just a pelican in the foreground here, but I think with 13 seconds or 15 seconds, it's just going to blur it out. Yeah, you can't even see the pelican. If I leave the sun come any more now on this image, I'm going to lose that separation, even though the foreground is a little bit dark. For me, this was what I was hoping to get. I was hoping to get the sun in the background and a separation, just to show depth. The sun is in the background and I've got that nice separation. Now if you come here during the daytime, you'd see that everything blends in. And how am I going to show, okay, well there's an island there, because at this focal length, the two of them would just blend together. And this is what you have to think about sometimes when you're outside, when you're taking photos. Think about what you want in the image. I wanted separation. If I didn't want that separation, I would have just waited until the sun had completely risen and taken a photo. But then there's no mood to the image, and that's what I wanted. I want a bit of mood. This morning didn't turn out how I wanted. I was hoping for fog, there was no fog, but I quickly adapted what I was going to photograph. I thought like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. So in closing, I'm just going to put up a few photos that I think are the best from this morning, edited in Adobe Lightroom. So thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, stay safe, enjoy your photography, and I'll see you next time.